Lawrence Kohlberg was born in Bronxville, New York. After completing high school at the end of World War II, he became a sailor and helped smuggle Jewish refugees into Palestine. In 1948, Kohlberg enrolled at the University of Chicago, where he completed his bachelor's degree in just 1 year and went on to research and teach, gaining a doctorate in 1958. He also taught at Yale University and finally Harvard. While in Belize in 1971, Kohlberg contracted a parasitic infection that left him battling with persistent pain and depression. On 19 January 1987, after asking to leave a treatment session, he committed suicide, reportedly by walking into the icy waters of the Atlantic Ocean. Kohlberg believed that morality develops gradually throughout childhood and adolescence. In 1958, he began a study involving 72 boys between the age of 10 and 16. He presented the boys with moral dilemmas that required them to choose between, neither of which could be considered completely acceptable, and noted their response. An example that Kohlberg used as a moral dilemma is as follows. A man's wife is dying. There is a drug that could save her, but it is very expensive, and the druggist who invented it will not sell it at a price low enough for the man to buy it. Finally, the man becomes desperate and considers stealing the drug for his wife. What should he do and why? Kohlberg evaluated the moral reasoning of both children and adults by presenting them with moral dilemmas or hypothetical situations which people must make difficult decisions and give their reasons. Kohlberg followed up on 58 of the boys, testing them every 3 years over the course of 20 years to observe how their moral inclination changes with age. Based on their reasoning, Kohlberg proposed a detailed sequence of 6 stages of moral reasoning or judgments about right and wrong. Kohlberg's theory is broken down into 3 primary levels. At each level of moral development, there are 2 stages. Similar to how Piaget believed that not all people reach the highest level of cognitive development, Kohlberg believed not everyone progresses to the highest stage of moral development. Level 1, Pre-conventional morality. Pre-conventional morality is the earliest period of moral development. It lasts until around the age of 9. At this age, children's decisions are primarily shaped by the expectations of adults and the consequences of breaking the rules. There are 2 stages within this level. Stage 1, Obedience and punishment. The earliest stages of moral development, obedience and punishment are especially common in young children, but adults are also capable of expressing this type of reasoning. According to Kohlberg, people at this stage see rules as fixed and absolute. Obeying the rules is important because it is a way to avoid punishment. Stage 2, Individualism and exchange. At this individualism and exchange stage of moral development, children account for individuals' point of view and judge actions based on how they serve individual needs. In the Heinz dilemma, children argued that the best course of action was the choice that best served Heinz's needs. Reciprocity is possible at this point of moral development, but only if it serves one's own interest. Level 2, Conventional morality. The next period of moral development is marked by the acceptance of social rules regarding what is good and moral. During this time, adolescents and adults internalize the moral standards they have learned from their role models and from society. This period also focuses on the acceptance of authority and conforming to the norms of the group. There are 2 stages at this level of morality. Stage 3, Developing good interpersonal relationships. Often referred to as the good boy good girl orientation, this stage of interpersonal relationship of moral development is focused on living up to social expectations and roles. There is an emphasis on conformity, being nice, and consideration of how choices influence relationships. Stage 4, that is maintaining social order. This stage is focused on ensuring that social order is maintained. At this stage of moral development, people begin to consider society as a whole when making judgments. The focus is on maintaining law and order by following the rules, doing one's duty, and respecting authority. Level 3, post-conventional morality. At this level of moral development, people develop an understanding of abstract principles of morality. The two stages at this level are Stage 5, social contract and individual rights. The ideas of social contract and individual rights causes people in the next stage to begin to account for the differing values, opinions and beliefs of other people. Rules of law are important for maintaining a society, but members of the society should agree upon these standards. Stage 6, universal principles. Kohlberg's final level of moral reasoning is based on universal ethical principles and abstract reasoning. At this stage, people follow these internalized principles of justice even if they conflict with laws and rules. Kohlberg's theory have been critiqued for a number of reasons. Some of them are bias sample. He used the sample based on male participants, which according to Gilligan could only show how would a male act in that kind of situation. Poor research design. Kohlberg conducted cross-sectional research, which means that they questioned a group of children that are different age, which might not have been the best way of tackling moral development. Critics claim that it would have been better if he constructed the experiment so that all subjects could go through the same stage of moral development. Age bias. Most of his subjects were children under the age of 16 who obviously had no experience with marriage. The Hinge dilemma may have been too abstract for these children to understand, and a scenario more applicable to their everyday concern might have led to different results. Cultural bias. Individualistic cultures emphasize personal rights while collectivist cultures stress the importance of society and community. Eastern collectivist cultures may have different moral outlooks that Kohlberg's theory does not take into account. Moral reasoning does not equal moral behavior. Kohlberg's theory is concerned with moral thinking, but there is a big difference between knowing what we ought to do versus our actual actions. Moral reasoning therefore may not lead to moral behavior. Overemphasizes justice. Critics have pointed out that Kohlberg's theory of moral development overemphasizes the concept of justice when making moral choices. Factors such as compassion, caring, and other interpersonal feelings may play an important part in moral reasoning. Now, final word. While Kohlberg's theory of moral development has been criticized, the theory played an important role in the emergence of the field of moral psychology. Researchers continue to explore how moral reasoning develops and changes through life, as well as the universality of these stages. Understanding these stages offers helpful insight into the ways that both children and adults make moral choices and how moral thinking may influence decisions and behaviors. Now try this.